Hey guys, Lukasz here. Today I'm shooting in Shibamata with Adrien Sanguinetti, who is a fellow YouTuber. And we're going to explore this area, which I've never been to, but apparently Adrien likes, and so I'm looking forward for him to show me around a little bit. Of course, we got our GRs. What do you got today? Is this?
The GR.
The regular, not the X, right?
Yeah,
okay,
28,
so we both have our
millimeter.
GR3s with 28 mil. And of course, before we get onto the video, please don't forget that if you'd like to share your photos, or when you share your photos, please use the hashtag #shootgr_ and your city. So shootgr_ Tokyo or Hiroshima for Adrien, right?
Yeah.
Do you use the hashtag?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
I forget to use it sometimes, to be honest. So
Mhm.
remember, use the hashtag #shootgr_ and your city name when you share your GR photos, so we can all see each other's work, right? Make a little community. All right, let's get on to exploring this area. So we'll jump right into it.
Yeah.
So Adrien, what is special for you about this neighborhood? Like, why do you come here? How many times have you been here?
It's actually my second time,
Oh,
but
okay.
I've been recommending this area called Shibamata to a lot of my friends coming to Japan and asking for accommodation. I like it because it's in Tokyo, not far from the center, but it's really quiet, pretty historical, with a lot of colors and old buildings. And I usually prefer this kind of more quiet neighborhood.
Yeah.
With still plenty of point of interest.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of nice things to photograph around here.
Totally, yeah. And in fact, let's start with this. Maybe we should shoot this view, because this is kind of the entrance of the Shotengai, the shopping street here, right? And
there's not too much people since it's quite early in the morning, so
yeah, totally.
But you can have a pretty clean composition, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. When Adrien invited me to come out here, he's like, let's meet at 9 a.m. And I live far from here, so it's like I had to get up 6:30. It's really early. And I was wondering, like, why are we doing that? But I get it. In the morning, it's kind of less crowded. But let's see what this person's doing setting up her store over here. This caught my eye from far away. So when you're shooting like this, do you usually do you kind of wait? Because for me, I'm gonna wait until she comes back down. Oh, there we go. Right.
Like sometimes I like also these photos where it's a bit intriguing. Like you don't see the full body. You see someone maybe from the back, only the legs, only the shoes.
I mean, me too. Don't get me wrong, me too. But then I always just observe for a while.
Yeah.
You know, because maybe something interesting will happen later.
Yeah.
And then I also take a lot of photos. I mean, not a lot, but I think more than most people do.
Yeah.
I already took 5 or 6 photos of this scene, just as it unfolds. Do you find yourself doing that, or do you kind of?
That's something I should do more. I think. Sometimes I can be patient, but sometimes too I'm rather impatient, and I know that I miss a few shots because of that. But also being impatient and moving more also gives you the opportunity to cover more ground and see other things. So
true.
It's good and bad.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's you got to call it at some point. You can be patient, but at some point you'll be like, I should just go because I'm gonna miss something somewhere else. This is also really interesting. This little shop here, with a robot on top of the vending machine. It's all very cute in this area. It's kind of.
No, unfortunately, it's closed. But I think there's a lot of really traditional omocha shop, little toys.
I'm actually, honestly, I've been in Tokyo 15 years, right?
Yeah.
And I never heard of this place. Never even heard of it, right? When you said Shibamata, I was like, where? And I put it in Google Maps and I saw, oh, okay, way over there. Yeah. I mean, I know this Adachi-ku, right? So I've been around here a little bit, but this is not my neck of the woods at all. So it's impressive to kind of realize that, and I tell people that all the time. I say, Tokyo's a gigantic city and you're never really going to see all of it. But I got to kind of listen to my own wisdom there, because not that I'm wise or anything, but you know what I mean. My own advice there, that you can always find something new in Tokyo, no matter how long you've explored it. Yeah.
That's why I always love to come here and explore new places, but also coming back, just today coming back to Shibamata. And so far, every person I've been recommending this area and other area of Tokyo in this same vibe, pretty relaxed and calm. They all loved it. So
yeah. Let's check out that rusty bicycle over there real quick.
Yeah.
Do you have like a kind of like a favorite subject that you always go to? Because like that, I'm bringing this up now because I always shoot bicycles. I love bicycles. When I see them, I shoot them, especially ones like this. Well, what about you? Do you have anything like that? Like is there kind of like a?
I love shooting also like this kind of things where you see that they've been there or they've been living for quite a long time.
Yeah.
You see rust, you see all of that. So yeah, that's really something you pick up when you start photography, like this ability to notice and to appreciate the beauty in everyday stuff.
Agreed. So how about you? Were you doing photography before you came?
I started photography roughly when I first came to Japan for the first time as a tourist, which was in 2018, so about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it's been on and off, mostly shooting when I was traveling. I did a lot of travel in Japan, but also when I was traveling other places in Europe and all that. But back in my old town, I was more spending time on editing the photos and leaving the cameras on the shelf. And it's about 3 years ago that I started to be more regular in my photography practice, incorporating as much as possible into my daily life, even in my hometown back in Switzerland at the time. And yeah, so I would say 3-4 years quite serious about photography.
I see. So street photography has become a way of life, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
I like to say that. I say that. I'm going to take a photo of this thing. I say that and people kind of don't believe me sometimes. Like, no, it is. Nice. I love these kind of things.
Yeah.
I have actually, I like bicycles, but I've slowly gravitated towards hoses, and I'm building a little collection of hoses.
I know you like also some pipes and cables.
Yeah, exactly.
I do too.
So the pipes and cables kind of were the beginning, and then little by little hoses have entered into the mix.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like that stuff. I think that Tokyo has a lot of that. And then I'm sure Hiroshima too, which I've never been to, by the way. I really want to visit Hiroshima someday. Yeah.
The city itself is nice, and you're pretty close to Miyajima, which is very, of course it's famous, and there's a lot of tourists there, but it's worthwhile paying a visit. It's absolutely beautiful, and you can shoot both, a bit of these landscape, beautiful landmarks, and because there's so much people, there's so much life going on, you can get closer to people. They are less worried about that street photographer taking pictures.
Right. They don't see as many photographers. You're kind of like, yeah. And on that topic, do you feel that like by being in Hiroshima, there's sort of like, I don't know how to phrase this, but like there's a lot of people photographing Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, tons. So like, it's kind of hard to like stand out. Not that you, as photographers, we must always stand out, but you know what I mean. You kind of. You take a great photo and then you see somebody else took a similar photo and you're like, oh, okay. But in Hiroshima, there's not that many photographers, right?
Indeed.
So do you feel that's kind of, I don't know, how do you feel about that? Like, does it matter for your work or?
Like, of course, there's a part of me wanting to live in a bigger city like Tokyo, or sometimes I also love Osaka, Kyoto, but I know that in Hiroshima I can take some photos, capture different ambience that you cannot take in Tokyo or Osaka, and I love that. Like, it's some cities in Japan, like when they have a decent size but they are not really well known, they tend to look alike a lot. Like. Even though being far from each other,
right.
But Hiroshima has really its own aesthetic. It has its own story, of course, and I feel like I can stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
But it still happens sometimes that on my Instagram post or on my YouTube videos that people think that it's Tokyo, because for some people not living here, Japan is Tokyo.
I mean, but that's understandable, because I mean, it's Japan. I mean, they see the Japanese writing, they see everything. They just assume, oh, it must be Tokyo. It's the biggest city, everybody goes there. But that's actually, I guess, kind of in a way, a good thing. It's like, well, no, this is Hiroshima. So again, it shows that you're not just another guy shooting in Tokyo kind of thing, you know? Which I feel like sometimes. I'm just like yet another guy taking photos in Tokyo, you know? Hiroshima's a little more special in that regard, which is nice. These are cute. Let me get a quick shot of one of these. Now this kind of stuff I don't usually shoot, but like I don't usually do like this kind of like at an angle shot with bokeh, but it just sort of, I don't know, kind of works for this. You start, oh wait, here's a good moment before I ask you more questions. That's nice. I love the pigeon just hanging around. But yeah, I was gonna ask you, so like you said you started photography on like a trip to Japan. That's kind of what got you started?
Actually, I bought my first camera before that trip to Japan. I always had an interest in cameras and photography. And when I went there, Japan kind of kick-started my passion for photography. But now, wherever I go, earlier this summer, I've been to Switzerland to visit my family and spent a month there. And now it's a bit opposite, like seeing Japan and seeing this aesthetic every day. It was a bit exciting and refreshing to see Europe for a while.
Interesting.
But oh, that's nice.
That's nice, yeah, the lady there.
Now I'm into photography and I enjoy the process and I enjoy taking photos pretty much anywhere.
This is a cool temple.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
I love this giant, like the matsu, right?
Yeah.
Pine tree. The way they've...
And those, we can tell they are really trimmed to the with scissors probably, like they are
yeah, totally, yeah.
So
this is like a
perfectly
giant,
balanced.
It's like a giant bonsai,
Yeah.
right? I just realized it goes all the way here
Yeah.
and over there. That's wild. Wow. So I guess this temple must be famous for this pine tree because that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, sometimes just a simple tourist shot is all I want, all you need.
It's almost like little bubbles of paint.
That's cool texture. So when you're out shooting like this, usually you bring this? You bring the GR3?
Yeah.
Or the 3X? Which do you prefer?
I don't have the GR3X and never had the chance to try, but...
okay. Because you asked me earlier if I brought mine, and I thought, I kind of assumed that you had the option as well. Yeah.
I only have the 28, but it was a challenge at first because when I first started photography, I was using more longer lens, 50, 85, and I bought this to have a more daily and basically a pocketable camera. And 28 can be challenging, like a lot of elements are in the frame, so you have to make something and something cohesive.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very educational for my photography. Made a lot of progress using the 28mm focal length. And now I love it.
Yeah, me too. It was also a challenge in the beginning, but I really love 28. I think it's a great focal length.
I tried to get something pretty centered on that
Sure.
little building while she's still there.
So something I always ask people who are fellow GR shooters when I meet them, I'm always curious like how you use it. So like, do you use, for example, snap focus mode a lot or not really? Like what's your preference on like whatever, anything with the camera?
I probably am one of the rare user of the snap distance priority mode.
Oh wow, okay.
The thing that was introduced 3-4 firmwares ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, naturally today, because we are talking and taking more time to shoot, so I can actually focus. But I love the snap distance focus mode because it takes a while to get used to. But then you do your first experiments, you understand what depth of field 1, 2, 3 means in terms of look and how the aperture will be affected. Then you also need a bit of experience to judge the distance because you have 1.5 to 2.5, 3.5 meters. But once you are used to it, it makes the whole process really fun and really easy. I don't have to worry too much about the focus. I can judge the distance. And it's only when it gets too dark that even with depth of field 1, the camera will tend to go very high in the aperture. And also the ISO will be quite high too. So so I always
That was going to be my question actually. I was going to say, well, what about in low light? But you answered it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have found a way to bypass that when you're in snap distance priority mode and you have your camera set on AV, aperture priority mode. I set my focus to the FN button, the function button. So if I'm here and I click on the FN button, it bypasses the snap distance priority mode and it focus using the previous settings you had on aperture priority mode.
Ooh, that's
so. Let's say you keep it at f4, then you go into snap distance priority mode. And if you know that you're somewhere a bit tricky in terms of focus and depth of field,
and the camera's going to choose like f16 for some reason, and that's way too small.
You just have to keep your FN button, and it will be set at f2.8 if you want, or
that's
f4,
nice.
and makes the whole setup very versatile.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked that question because that's an interesting answer. Do you ever use a touchscreen?
Yes, I do too. Sometimes, at 28 millimeter with 2.8, you won't get a crazy amount of depth of field, but when I try to have street portraits with people coming from the opposite direction, I have set my touch AF to touch AF plus release. So when I touch on something, it will focus and then release once it locks focus, and it works well when you try to capture people coming from the opposite side, or also it's another way to bypass the snap distance priority mode when I'm in a situation where it's not very appropriate.
Right. I see. So it's kind of like snap focus, but touch snap focus in a sense.
And I like the responsiveness of the touch screen on the Ricoh is really good compared to bigger systems actually.
Sure.
It's pretty responsive.
It is really good. But yeah, so
someone has almost the same hat as the statue.
Good point. Maybe he knows. He knows about it. Let's get a little closer. Nice. Yeah, so I don't really use back button focus on the GR because I just find it like a little bit too small in my hand and it's kind of hard to press, but I use it on other cameras. But you like it on this camera?
Yeah, I do like it, and I was saying that it's good because you can pre-focus, wait for things to happen and take the moment. But when there's a bit more movement and you have to be a bit more agile, it can be tricky. So that's why sometimes, like typically, if I bring my GR when I'm out with my family, going somewhere on the weekend, and my wife's sister, she has 2 kids moving around, and so for those kind of situation, I can just quickly change and put my focus to the shutter button and use it more casually, and basically rely on the autofocus.
I see.
So I stay pretty flexible, and it's just like anything, this camera and other camera and any tool, and using you have to use it, get used to it, knows where the features are, and then you can quickly adapt. Because if you, of course, when you just get your GR or other cameras, you won't be very familiar with all the settings. So every time you want to switch something, it will take time.
Sure.
And
it's interesting you call it a tool, because the other day we met one of the designers of the GR.
Yeah.
And then we asked him a whole bunch of questions, and basically, but he said something like, to me, this camera is a tool. It's a tool. It needs to be simple, and you take away all the kind of extra, unnecessary, extraneous things. And then you just said that. You said it's like a tool. And it really does feel like a tool. A very fun tool to use, but nonetheless, a tool. Yeah, let me also get a shot of this blue light in here. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, after a while I started to like it, like the design, but it's pretty simple design, little black box, and I call it a tool sometimes, but I also like it for what it is.
But it is also a toy.
It is also a toy.
Right? Yeah, it's fun.
Anyway, it's someone to walk into the light.
Ah, okay. go ahead, take your time. Because I want to get closer. I want to shoot this building on the corner. That's such a rusty, like all the shutters. There's like ships in the window.
Yeah.
That looks really cool.
Oh.
Yeah, I noticed in your work, you do tend to like to shoot kind of big scenes like this. I noticed that. Like with a small person somewhere in the light. Like this is actually, I think, typical of your work when I look through. Yeah.
It also, like, of course, it's my personality and maybe not being as bullish and as getting close to other photographers, but it also is due to my environment. Hiroshima is way wider. Like it has been rebuilt. The streets are pretty wide, so it's a bit harder to get very close to people. So I tend to shoot wider scene and try to have a subject entering the frame. Try to position them where they can pop a little bit out of the
somehow stand out,
because people think about bokeh as a tool to have subject separation, but there's plenty other tool to have good subject separation.
I totally agree.
So,
in fact, bokeh is overrated.
Yeah.
You know, I use it sometimes, of course. I mean, I do like bokeh too, but I still think it's overrated. I don't think it's as important of a thing in photos as a lot of people make it out to be. It's just another visual tool, right?
Yeah.
It's a visual tool.
And it's appropriate in some scenarios and not really in others. So.
Exactly. If you always rely on that, then it doesn't really work. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to shoot this, but I love this crooked sign, which clearly somebody drove their car into, and then there's the rest of the signs here.
And the Ricoh, the GR3, the 28mm, was also a good companion for me to learn how to not rely on the bokeh too much, because at 28, APS-C 2.8, you won't get a lot of it. So
unless you're extremely close, and even then you don't get so much.
And it's very, very good to practice, and perfect tool to really get better at composing your shots and find other visual patterns to have interesting photos.
Totally agree. Yeah. It definitely had an impact on how I shoot over the years. Yeah, I got into 28mm lenses just before I got the Ricoh, the GR2 originally. I bought for my full frame camera, I bought a 28mm lens because I wanted to be able to get closer to subjects. I was kind of like evolving a little bit of my work. And then shortly after I got a GR2, and so between that setup and then this, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I was actually very happy, like, oh, these are the same. So then for like a year at least, it was just like 28 all the time. No matter which camera I used, it was just 28. So I only had those, two cameras with this one and then the other one. And I learned a lot. I think it's a really fun focal length. And now when people ask me like, what's your go-to focal length? I always say either 28 or 40. Those are the two that I like to use, which is coincidentally what
the GR3
I know. That I'm not just saying that just to like, oh, this is the GR channel, I gotta say that. No, seriously, I love 40, and then I love 28, and then that's what they make. I think those two focal lengths really work. Yeah. Oh yeah, those plants over there are gorgeous. But I kind of wonder,
taking over the.
Yeah. I kind of wonder how it might look also with this pile of trash in the foreground, so that it's like, because there's like a green blob and a blue blob, but the trash is kind of ugly.
After shooting with the Ricoh for a while, it changed also the way I have my custom settings on other cameras. Like before, one of my go-to custom settings was aperture priority mode with the widest aperture of the lens. But now I don't do that really anymore. Like my base aperture is more around f4, sometimes f5.6, and that's a good starting point. And depending on my environment, what I want to shoot, then I adjust. So I became more intentional with the way I use my camera, where I use my settings, and bokeh.
Yeah, agreed. Like same thing. I tend to now try to maximize depth of field. This coin lounge is really cool. Have you ever been to this little part of the neighborhood before?
Yeah, because I don't know what train you took to come here, but did you have to switch?
I came from Kanemachi.
Yeah.
On the Keisei line.
So I think last time I came here, I went all the way to that station to visit the area, but then I walked to the other station. So I've been through this.
Walking Yeah, I thought about that, but I would have been late. Oh, here we go. That's nice. Get the coin laundry and the train going by. Oh, come on. Come on, bro. Okay,
Oh.
good. Nice. I tried to do a whole bunch of things at the same time there. I did a slow shutter version.
Ah, yeah.
As slow as I could because it's so bright out here. And then I quickly switched back to like a normal fast shutter version to get, to get both.
Yeah.
But the light is really harsh. I don't know if I did it. It was like on f16. We'll see. But yeah, I do like all the, we're talking about the camera a lot just now, but like the buttons are all on one side.
Yeah.
So you can do everything with one hand basically. Very, very useful.
I was out shooting in the rain a week ago, which is something you have to be a bit careful with the Ricoh, with the
little
weather
bit, yeah.
setting, but with an umbrella it's all fine. And given that you have an umbrella on your left hand,
Exactly,
most probably,
yeah.
you can still access all the functions, and that's pretty good to have in a camera. Like,
Totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, because that's the way you weather seal a GR. Is you use an umbrella. Totally easy. I mean, I've used it in the rain millions of times, but of course never getting totally drenched. Just have an umbrella because it's an easy little one-hand camera. It's no problem. And it gets a little wet, but not to say that I recommend it. That's not necessarily, mileage may vary. You're gonna get worse results, but I've gotten my GR wet in the rain, and it's never caused an issue for me personally. But I didn't get it that wet, just a little bit. But anyway, on that note, I think this is a good place to finish up our little walk through Shibamata, because we've gone to one side and back through to the other side, and we're kind of starting to leave the area. So yeah, Adrien, it was a pleasure.
it was a pleasure for me too.
Yeah. This is literally, by the way, we didn't mention this. This is our first time meeting. We've never met before. Everything you saw was a real first conversation, just me and Adrien just talking about stuff for the first time. So yeah, thank you so much. Maybe next time I'll come visit you in Hiroshima.
With pleasure, waiting for you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Of course, please leave a comment below. I will certainly read them. I hope Adrien will read them too.
Of course.
And like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.